So joining me now is Iryna Discipio, who is the president and founder of Revive Soldiers Ukraine. You guys may recognize that organization name because we mentioned it a couple of days ago when we were talking about Dragonfly trying to get humanitarian drones into Ukraine. Iryna, welcome to the channel. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you for inviting.
You just got back from Ukraine and Europe. So what is the situation in Ukraine from the civilian point of view?
Looks like convenient for Putin to attack Ukraine after Olympics. First it was in Sochi, now it's after Olympics in China. So the war was going on, like conflict was going on for 8 years. We called it a war, but nobody would call it a war because Russia never declared a war. And right now, apparently, they not even declaring war again. They call it as a special force operation while they're destroying Ukrainian cities and killing Ukrainian civilians. And casualties are insane. They just practically destroying cities. City of Mariupol is practically gone.
You mentioned Mariupol, humanitarian disaster. The siege is ongoing. That's probably the most horrific part of the country right now.
That's probably what we will need the drones for, because nobody can get into Mariupol, or Russians not letting civilians to get evacuated. When civilians start to get evacuated, they shooting.
People aren't getting out. Humanitarian supplies are not getting in. This is, as you mentioned, this is sort of ground zero for attempting to use these Dragonfly drones. Do your countrymen have a sense that this is winnable?
So we're getting very well organized. We know what's going on. We start to fight, and we're fighting very well because we know the area. I grew up outside of Kiev. I can tell you everything about Kiev, so it's hard for people who are offending to hide even. So we do cleaning up the areas with the assistance of Europe, US volunteers. We're getting stronger now because at first we were not ready.
But I mean, were you surprised ultimately? Because as you said, there was some chatter about, hey, when the Olympics end, that's probably where it's going to happen. Just like
we didn't know that Putin has that much guts to attack the entire country, but apparently he did. And now his planes sometimes going into Polish territory, and Polish people are worried, including Baltic states, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. They're also worried because I think they will be next. If Ukraine will give up, those two countries that are assisting us the most will be the next.
So we've had some conversations about a no-fly zone. President Zelensky has asked to.
We've been asking for that, but I do understand why US doesn't want to get involved. If NATO or US will shoot Russians' plane, it will be a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, that's what would happen. I think in some ways, and this is what has impressed the world, is the courage and the capability of the Ukrainian military has impressed everybody. So
we were fighting for 8 years. We've been rotated soldiers, and we have about 500,000 troops that went through the war, and the veterans, including 150,000 active army. So plus every single Ukrainian got to fight.
As you said, since Sochi and the annexation of Crimea, this has kind of been an ongoing conflict that maybe nobody was paying attention to.
Plus Ukrainians been trained also by NATO. They've been trained Ukrainians for all these years, for 8 years. So we're not saying that we're not trained or we don't know how to do. Some obviously the most advanced weapons we wouldn't be able to use, but majority we can. And the problem, we don't have them.
We hear counteroffensives around Kyiv. Some footage came out of those amphibs in the southern port getting attacked, kind of an impressive assault on their naval forces. In some ways, it looks like you guys are winning, dare I say, or at least holding your own. You've stymied the advance. So is there a sense, I get it that ultimately you guys will prevail, but how long, at what cost?
In the 8 years period, Ukraine becomes a nation, a strong nation. Plus, we learn how to fight, and we learn exactly who is the enemy. There's a clear picture that Russians are an enemy, and we fight them. And So I think Russia did not expect us to fight that hard. So we just killing them. It's crazy. Like they just throw in their soldiers to be killed, and it's kind of like massacre. They know maybe they're not expecting they're gonna die, but they are gonna die. So it's hard to realize that Putin would do it to its own people.
Their army looks, pretty unprofessional, to be polite about it. And it looks like you guys are taking advantage of that fact in terms of the indirect fire and the early days with how your Air Force was shooting down a lot of their airplanes. Is there a national sense that you're at a tipping point, or you're prevailing, or is there going to be more gains made by the Russians, and so everybody's sort of steeling themselves for more devastation?
It will be more, because I think like Putin realized that he's not gonna take the country, so he tried to destroy as much as he can.
And what do folks think ultimately will be the point where he figures that out? Because there's a lot of people that have Russian relatives, and they there must be some comms in between where you hear. I mean, we're hearing that there's great propaganda, and they have no idea,
Right.
how they're on the wrong side here. They think that this is an anti-terrorist move where they're trying to protect their borders or something perverse like that. But you have to believe that ultimately even the holdouts in Russia will understand that they're on the wrong side here, and this is nothing but atrocities.
Actually, no. You would be surprised. About 70% support that Putin attacked Ukraine and killing Ukrainians.
Okay, so that's another problem then, in terms of Putin having domestic pressure to end the war.
Yeah, he doesn't have any domestic pressure to end the war. The Russians are whoever is disagree with him, they just quiet. They don't do anything.
The refugee crisis has been, I guess that now we're at almost up
Crazy.
to 3.5
You
million.
have no idea. People just walk kilometers, miles and miles with their like just backpacks, just try to escape.
Whatever they can carry. And
well, they can take much.
Yeah. And they don't really have any plan. They just get there and figure it out once they get there.
As I said, like Poland help us a lot. They do have like I was in Poland, so they showing like Ukrainian TVs. They helping. They have all the camps for refugees. They try to assist as many Ukrainians as possible by placing them in like they providing free transportation, free food, free stay, whatever it takes for people, just at least for the first period of time to live living conditions, and then most likely they will figure out some sort of programs to assist Ukrainians for as long as it's needed until the war will be over.
What is it you need immediately?
So the nation of Ukraine need weapons, defensive and offensive weapons to kick out Russians. They're probably not gonna go that easy, because Putin has a big ego. He's not gonna give up that easy if he's already in the entire Ukraine. Maybe he will start to negotiate, but I don't think so, if he already did what he did. So we just have to, I guess, kill the entire Russian army in Ukraine and bury them, because majority of them not coming back. And the most importantly, we have to, we're very humanized nation, we have to heal them, because if they injured, they bring them to the hospitals that I'm and my volunteers raising money for, and bring medical supplies. We're purchasing medication, we're purchasing ambulances, we're purchasing any type of evacuation cars to evacuate civilians, and assisting doctors in any way we can. Also, we will start to again do what we were doing before the war started, with the entire country. We will continue negotiating with the medical facilities to accept wounded soldiers and civilians at this time. The ones who cannot be assisted in Ukraine in any way at any hospital, we will have to start to bring them to United States for most advanced medical care. I was surprised. A lot of Americans company reaching out with their product and their donations, which is great. I never expect that kind of support, but I'm really, really happy that Americans standing with us shoulder to shoulder and try to help out us to win this unfair war. So I'm really, really thankful to American nation to support Ukraine.
So I think this fight is forged in the hearts of all free people as a definitive fight of good versus evil. And I know that the viewers of my channel have supported the charity that we've supported so far is the Come Back Alive Foundation. We've raised almost $14,000 through the sale of T-shirts, which is my logo, which is a pilot's helmet, and in the visor, it's normally the American flag, and now it's the Ukrainian flag. But we'll also put the URL, as we announced with the episode with Cam, for Revive Soldiers Ukraine in the episode description. And so we ask people to assist you with your efforts as well.
Yeah, Come Back Alive is a charity that one day, like long time ago, brought night vision goggles to my brother in the front line in 2015 on the 72nd Brigade. So I know them very well. We've been kind of on charities that we know we kind of work with each other, but we don't, because we kind of concurrent in the charities. But now we do one thing together. They just doing their direction, and we're going with our direction. But I do appreciate that you support Come Back Alive.
Well, that's great to hear. I like them because of the fact that it's direct tactical training and other stuff for the military, as us being a military affinity channel. I think everything that President Zelensky has asked for, short of the no-fly zone or direct intervention, is ongoing. And I think we will up the ante as the war goes on. So all I can say is the Ukrainians have shown extreme bravery, and that is a lesson to the entire world about those who
dying for our freedom.
Okay, so we say this a lot: freedom isn't free. You are proving that point, and so I think we all need to take a lesson and support you in the effort along the way. So, Iryna, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for coming on the channel. We'll be in touch with you and bring you on as the situation arises. And in the meantime, be safe.
Thank you for your support, and thank you for inviting. We will win.